This program was made possible by contributions to your PBS station from viewers like you. Thank you.
So today we've got the bathrooms are being tiled, and we're doing some electrical work, and our director Jim Yockey and our Mike Brees, the jib, and Steadicam guy Tim are all here walking through various camera shots and angles. Got a little heavy earth moving of some stone excavation, and just a few things going on, framing a barn outside as well. This is going to be the concessions area, and these are the bathrooms. Come in here and I'll take you on a little tour here.
Well, as a director of a production, any production, what you're looking to do is to tell a story visually that makes sense and entertains people.
What's it doing right now?
Water pouring in everything.
The 3 inch is not holding up. So our 2 inch pump has been overwhelmed, the 3 inch is overwhelmed.
We can't keep up with this water.
It's rainiest February in the history of the world. We're opening up in 2 weeks, 3 weeks. And I think we're looking at freaking bluegrass underwater, man, and not bluegrass underground. Oh, man, would you mind? Just cut this off, please, for a minute. Call Temple, dude. Seriously.
When Todd Mayo told me he wanted to buy a cave, which I'd heard him say, he's said it a few other times to me in passing. You know, it's one of those things when you walk by and somebody says, we got to do that someday. Someday we're going to do that. But with Todd Mayo, when he says someday we're going to do it, that day actually comes and it's a reality. And there was a day we were in the car together and he looked at me, he said, it's time, we got to do it. Find somebody, make it happen. And that's what my job is to do for Todd, is to make things happen. So I made a couple phone calls and he made some phone calls and we found a cave.
So many times in life you start with the ideal and you kind of work your way down to reality. And it was 10 years ago this month, as a matter of fact, 10 years ago next week, a week from today, that I walked down into a cave for the first time. Had never been in a cave in my life. And, you know, had the idea, created Bluegrass Underground, yada, yada, yada. Here we are, taping season 8. And that was a wonderful, wonderful reality. But it wasn't ideal in terms of the production for Bluegrass Underground and for a lot of the patron experience. So here we are, literally we started with reality and we've made it ideal. We found this cave about a year and a half ago and had a wonderful vision for it. And you know, we say the gist is, we used a lot of gist. We brought in geologists and biologists and hydrologists and archaeologists. The first thing we needed to do was to find out, is this cave from a geological perspective structurally sound for what we do? And when we first walked in where the stage is now, I could touch the ceiling. That's how much dirt was moved out. You know, they talk about Michelangelo's David, and he said that David was always in there. I just had to get all that marble out the way, you know, and this cave was always there. We didn't use any dynamite or blasting. All we did was almost archaeologically, like just unearth this, a little bit, a bucket load at a time. And I didn't really know what it was going to look like. I knew where the floor was because we had to bring in geologists and hit rock bottom. And at that point, it became a matter of excavating, or somebody said it was like hunting for buried treasure. And the buried treasure is this amazing room, the Caverns, historically known as Big Mouth Cave. But really, it's like underneath all the flotsam and jetsam of, you know, thousands and tens of thousands of years. Once we excise that, here's this amazing venue. And so the thrill of it was the sense of discovery, because I didn't really know what it was going to look like.
I will be singing like an angel till I'm 6 feet deep. I found myself an omen and I tattooed on a sign. I set my mind to wandering there, walking broken line. And now you have a mind to keep me quiet, and all that you can try. Bigger men have hit their knees and bigger men have died. I'm on a
My name is Justin Mayo. I'm the property manager here at the Caverns, and my brother Todd Mayo bought the place. And last year we started work on it. And we got out here and we had to excavate about 30,000 square yards of debris out of the mouth of the inside of this place to make it what it is today. We started last spring and summer, and I came along, and once the excavation part of it was done, we had to design the inside as far as bathrooms and seating, electrical work, lighting, stage, everything had to be formatted and formulated, and to bring it to where it is today. This cave, this is in Payne's Cove. This cave has been here for ever since the beginning of time. It's actually two caves. There's the cave where the event is, and then off here to the left is a smaller cave. And there's two rivers that meet right at the mouth of the cave, and that was our biggest logistical feat, was trying to figure out what to do with all the water that carved out this cave.
What we're thinking is we're going to come in, this red right here is the road that's going up there, it goes on the existing. So what we're thinking is that we can come in and have this whole area.
There's a guy named Temple Bowling that was the man, really. He's the guy that owns a construction company, but more than that, he's a creative thinker. And so a lot of this was nothing you could draw up. There was no architects. There was me and Temple sort of riffing on, well, this is where the stage is going to be, and we got to do this here. And a lot of times, the tale of what the cave would tell us would wag the dog of what we needed to do in terms of where things went from an infrastructure.
And then the water naturally wants to come from the back of this cave and go out. Well, what we've done is put a sump underneath the floor. We have a big gravel drain layer, so any water that seeps in goes to the gravel, and we pump it to where it was trying to go anyway. And then the big influx of water, where you saw the creek when you were coming in, and then there's some even that comes up out of an east sump, that we don't try to manage it, we didn't try to stop it, we'd let it go to where it goes. And so that's what those culverts and bridge you walk over. So when those big rain events happen, the water just goes that way. So there's some flow rates when they have big rain events of 150,000 gallons a minute, which is just a tremendous amount of water. And naturally, this is what they call a borehole cave. It was created by a river. It's not on a fault. So that's why you have the nice smooth ceiling. One of the things that people always say is, what'd y'all do to the ceiling? How's it so smooth? Natural, water ran it. You can even see the little scallops and parts of it that you can see how the current was lapping on it. But the water was the biggest issue, dealing with that water. And once we came out with a way, our first attempts didn't always work perfect. And so, but the next attempt worked better than the last, and that was the progression we made. And after about 4 attempts, we got it right. There used to only be 3 pipes out front. Now there's 5. But so we've got it and are happy that we're able to manage the water, allow the cave to still live like it did, and enjoy it as a venue.
Then a flutter of feathers, then a shotgun to shoulder. I thought of the 4th of July. Should be home on the 4th of July. Bet we dance
So as a director, I'm allowed to input to the point of how many cameras I feel is necessary to cover a certain stage, a certain production with a certain number of people. For Bluegrass Underground, it's 9. I have 9 cameras. 2 of the cameras are robotic and they're always placed on stage within the instrumentation. I have 3 long lens close-up cameras that are at the back of the house. I have a jib with a wide lens that gives all the big, beautiful, scenic wide shots and movement. I have a Steadicam that makes movement down front and around upstage. And then there are 2 handheld cameras, stick cameras, that are either working handheld depending upon the band or on sticks shooting tighter lenses.
So Bluegrass Underground has always been so pleased that there's been a confluence of really amazing people that have come together, seemingly in happenstance or coincidence or providential ways, or however you want to say it. But meeting Ty Gerald 10 years ago at the very first Bluegrass Underground was the first epic kind of coincidence when he came to interview me for NPR.
And I came down to do a radio story about a guy I'd read about in the paper who was doing concerts in a cave, a quarter of a mile inside of a mountain, 300 feet beneath the top of the mountain. And I thought, well,
And I said, my real vision for this is Austin City Limits meets Nova, on PBS, a show from a cave.
And I said, well, just matter of fact, that's what I do. I produce shows for PBS. And he said, what was your name again?
And then he was like, Todd. And I was like, man, I can remember that dude. And so we formed Todd Squared, the production company, in order to bring Bluegrass Underground to PBS.
It took a couple years. And then Becky Magura from WCTE, I approached her. She was getting, she'd been helping me produce shows for several years. And they were getting a brand new suite of television cameras, a whole master control that was in flight packs, so they were very transportable. And we called up Becky and said, hey, how would you like to do your first shoot with all your brand new gear, 300 feet underground in a big grimy hole?
I knew that cavern, so I knew it was way deep, and I kept thinking, how would we do this? So then we get this incredible grant. We get a grant for brand new HD production equipment. We're rural, we're really small, tiny. I mean, we have like 12 full-time employees, about 9 part-time employees, tiny little station in the middle of the Upper Cumberland, rural Tennessee. And we get this great grant for brand new HD equipment. $1 million worth of equipment for us that has to last a lifetime.
And it was a hell of a pitch. And to her credit, her everlasting credit, for which we'll be forever grateful, she said, okay. I thought, why not? Because it's hard to not go with a vision when somebody's really got a vision of something that could happen. And they have the passion, they have the passion to make it happen. And I knew they did. I thought, we got to be a part of that. We just got to be a part of that. So she took a flyer with us. We shot the pilot, went back that was in February, went back in May, finished out the show, presented it to PBS, who had never seen anything like this. And the whole idea from the beginning has been, we're not trying to do anything with this room that it's not already. Like the dirt got moved out, the rock stayed exactly like it is. The whole thing was tested out. They drilled 10, 12 feet up into the ceiling. They put cameras up there. They see the layers of rocks. We put in pins throughout the place to strengthen everything in the walls and in the ceiling. We've tightened the whole place up. So then it was about, okay, how to make this a venue. We brought in computer-assisted design machines, drawing machines, mapped out the whole caverns, decided exactly where all the pipes need to go in, so where the drill points are. Had to bring in a special crew to drill all the holes, cement in or epoxy in the hang points.
Well, we're taping for PBS here at the Caverns because we're in a cave, plus we're working with high-level artists. We've got a lot of people here. We've got everything from the stage crew.
My name is Carly Hannigan. I'm the floor director and the stage manager. The moving parts that are more difficult is getting the band actually on and off stage, which we have to do it through the crowd, through the audience that's here. Getting band gear on, getting band gear off, getting a band on, getting a band off, through screaming fans who just want autographs and just want to, or go get a beer, go to the bathroom.
To the lighting department, which is top notch.
On anything like this, you paint the scenery, whatever it may be, with light, or you can't see it. It's not a huge amount of equipment. It's just, you know, you put it on the cave and in the right way, you paint it from the right angles. We use white light, basically, a little warm here and a little cooler there, but it's basically white light and white light on the performers and a little color in the background just for variation. And I appreciate the fact that I didn't get this opportunity until I was really older and experienced, so that I had the discipline to let it be itself and not try to impose my own silly ideas on it. It's great as it is, and we just need to let it be that.
And yeah, we come from Havana, Cuba.
I'm Larry Nager. I've been with the Cave almost since the beginning, and I've been doing interviews and then on stage MC, kind of host, I guess, the maitre d' of the Cave, as it were. I take the word host literally, in that it's like you're hosting people at your home. You're hosting people, you know, wherever you are, and you're kind of you're easing them in, you give them the information they need, the restrooms and that kind of thing, but it's also, part of it is, I love this place. That's why I'm here. I think that's why everybody's here, and I think that's what makes this place so special. The crew, the bands have this like awe, you know, jaw-dropping, childlike thing when they come in here, and that's the joy, I think, for the people who work here, is they see that.
There's always something to do. My job is technically associate producer, artist relations, so my job is to be there for the artists. But yesterday, I was running around fixing computers and making sure people had flashlights and mops and cleaning bathrooms, and everybody does everything. I think that's what makes us a family, is we all kind of pull together and just like pick up pieces as they fall, and it all comes together. But even after the Cave shows are done being taped, my job still keeps on continuing, which is doing licensing and, you know, making sure that we have lyrics for the closed captioning. So my job continues on and on and on, even when the Cave show is finished.
Come back, we have the cheers, we've got ushers, we've got people helping people find their seats.
We're big Sam Bush fans. We go to Telluride every year, so we wanted to come check this out. I think this will be really intimate. I'm really looking forward to hearing what the acoustics are like in there and just kind of the whole vibe of the room. We drove up about, I guess, 2.5, 3 hours from Atlanta today.
You may try to have a perfect life. This you cannot do.
This is amazing.
This you cannot do, though you may try. It may look like others have this life, this perfect state of bliss. But if you scratch the surface, there is something that you missed.
Audio is top notch.
My name is Andy Kern. I'm the audio producer for Bluegrass Underground for PBS. Recording wise, we have about 50 channels or so, 50 to 55 channels usually, coming from in the cave. And so those are split 3 ways to front of house monitors and broadcast.
This you cannot do.
We also have the production truck where the feed from those cameras inside the cave is coming out. And these folks inside, there's shaders, there's director up there, the assistant director, there's lighting people in there, there's audio people in there, all in this truck that's on site. It's pretty amazing in there.
I was just walking down to the cave a minute ago and took a picture of the whole camera crew out there just enjoying each other's company, hanging out. And you know, there's some of the best live music shooters in North America. And they all want to be here every year. And it's the same people every year come back, the same engineers, the same shooters, the same color guy, the same director, the same lighting people, the same board operator. It's like a little family reunion.
We've got concessions crew.
Over a career, feel more important. Well, this is one of those, because long after I'm dead and gone, the people who come here today with kids will be bringing their kids, and hopefully their kids can bring their kids, because obviously this place isn't going to burn down. Termites aren't going to get it. It's going to be a place for the ages. And it looks good and it sounds good. It's respectful of the environment. It's respectful of our culture, and we see this as a perfect marriage of 2 things for which Tennessee, if not America, can be most proud, and that is an amazing natural beauty and a profound musical heritage.
I got South people. I want to stop the season. I got South people. When it's up there, I'm gonna get it right there.
Parking people. We've got security people. We've got ticket people. We've got, it just keeps going on. We even have a bus driver, because we've got a Magic Cave bus that helps shuttle people around. And that's a good baseline of what makes the Caverns gears move.
This happened about 5 years ago. My son was 5. I was sitting there working on the computer one night, and he was watching the Prince of Egypt. Moses was in a cave. I wasn't paying attention, but Moses was saying on the cartoon, "I am that I am." God was saying, excuse me, "I am that I am," to Moses in a cave on this cartoon. And Jackson turns around and says, "Daddy?" And I said, "Yes, son." He said, "Did you know God can speak to you in a cave?" And I had to answer honestly, having never thought about it like that before. But in a split second, I said, "Yeah, I did." And he said, "You did?" And I said, "Absolutely I did. You want to know how?" And he said, "Yeah." And I said, "Because he spoke to me." "He did?" And I said, "Yes." "Do you know when?" And he goes, "No." And I said, "Bluegrass Underground, boy." And he was like, "Oh, yeah. But I never will forget that. And I never thought of it in that context. But I do now. And I look back on it, and I look at how the Spirit, the Holy Spirit, the Great Spirit, God, the Creator, whatever it is, how it's impacted my life through the people that I've met in that cave and all these, I always say, what's the difference between serendipity or providence or coincidence or a chance meeting or whatever you want to say? It's just different words for the same thing. If you're agnostic, I don't care about you. It's the same thing. It doesn't matter what you call it. But there is that thing. There's that something. And that's that same something you feel when the music brings to me, and it always has. And it's what nature brings to me. It's what people bring to me. So you take great people and music and the spirit in an environment like a cave. It's transcendent.
Bam! Can we hit the quit? Yeah. I said, bam! Yeah. I want you to hit the quit. Yeah. I said, bam! Yeah. I need you to hit the quit. Yeah. I need you to hit the quit. Yeah.
Well, you know, we're getting a head start on the end of the world. This is going to be our conclave where we will stay away from the solar flares and the plasma and the disruption of the magnetic fields and the return of those aliens. The aliens are coming back.
Get another hand on this wrench.
Quiet on the set.
This program was made possible by contributions to your PBS station from viewers like you. Thank you.